severe flood. And the ILO, together with other UN agencies, were looking at this and also seeing what could we do to actually help rebuild these affected societies and communities again. So that led to that a project was developed and was started in 2013. We came together in the UN because we have different, we're working on different aspects, we have different comparative advantages. The FAO is very strong when it comes to the agricultural sector, etc. The UN Women is strong when it comes to gender and human rights and other aspects there. And the ILO is stronger when it comes to livelihoods, non-agricultural livelihoods, skills development, etc. So we thought we would join hands together and assist people in the two selected districts in Sentinel, Mirpukas and Daru. And the whole project was funded by the UN, United Nations Trust Fund for Human Security, that allowed us to extend the help to these two affected villages. We will hear much more about what have been the result of that. The ILO have in particular been involved in, as I said, the non-agricultural livelihoods development, try to ensure that people can build up livelihoods, earn incomes from other than non-agricultural activities, so as to support the human security of the families. I had the opportunity to visit Mirpukas in late April, and it was indeed a trip that I would not forget very easily. I met with some of also as a government officials, the district commissioner, etc., and his staff in the Mirpukas. But I was also very inspired also by seeing some of the beneficiaries. I remember Gina, who had learned to do tailoring, but also had established a shop, and it was a well-assorted shop. And her husband that was doing well in farming. So Chamba that has established her own business in terms of building stoves for villages, and had not only building stuff, she has engaged more staff. She was having cattle, and they look very healthy. As we visited the guys, they established a shop as a computer shop, and now providing training to the kids of the villages, so they also would be at par with the rest of the world in terms of computer skills. We saw the farmers, the crops, where they had sunflowers and corn together. It looked very healthy. And the bakery that were producing cakes and pizzas, etc. And it was indeed very good. And I have only one complaint, that is that it is too far from Islamabad to order as what's a home delivery. But I can only recommend it. So there's a lot of good stories. I came back with that together with my colleagues. I also know that we have been involved in and supporting the establishment of the first trade unions among agriculture and fisheries farmers, and they have had some training. And also on the farmer side, as employers group, so we have supported them to come together, because as we have seen that if we stand together, then there's also great opportunities for prosper in cooperation and do better, even build back better, as we have been talking about. So with this, I would like to again welcome you all to this event here, and I hope we will have some time where we can share all these examples, but also discuss how can we use it in the future, how can we use these examples. So welcome again, and very much.
To invite Mr. Patrick Evans, FAO representative, to express his views.
Mr. Njane, Secretary of Planning, representing the ACS from Sindh, Commissioner from Mirprakas, Deputy Commissioners, Nyobuni, President Coordinator of UN, Ingrid from ILO, and Sangeeta from UN Women, friends, colleagues, distinguished participants, good afternoon to everyone. Let me first start by thanking everybody for being here today. I am very, very pleased to see such an impressive turnout. I was worried that it being Friday, the last Friday of Ramadan, it was a challenging day to bring people together, but it proved me wrong, and I thank everybody for being here. I also want to thank Ingrid Christensen and the team of ILO for their leadership at organizing this closing ceremony, and they've done a fine job. As you're well aware, we're here to review the lessons learned from this project that we have been
Home-based workers and land-based women farmers to land tenancy agreements and land holding security. And the last area that we specifically looked into was in the whole issue of increasing the resilience of women, men, boys, and girls. Women's access and control over productive resources is extremely limited in Pakistan. The female labor force participation rate is also very low, which stands at 22%. Notwithstanding, women play a significant role in the agriculture sector, especially in the unpaid family workers category, and their contribution is estimated at 10% of the national GDP. Women are responsible for a host of activities that is mainly primarily within the informal sector and also within the agricultural sector. So within this context, I'm very pleased to share that the project succeeded in conducting multi-faceted discussions with community men, women, farmers, and their landowners, culminating into a landmark achievement with women and men farmers receiving land tenancy agreements for the first time in Pakistan. These agreements, albeit informal currently, have bolstered women and men farmers' confidence in terms of their land rights and protection. We shall continue to coordinate with the government to further formalize these agreements and take them to scale so that the impact of this critical success could reach all farmers and tenants in Pakistan beyond the province of Sindh. It is also very important to note that women's role in agriculture has been given a greater visibility through this project. Although implemented as a pilot on a small scale, this project has brought significant changes in the lives of people, especially here I would want to mention the life of women. Project Women Open Schools imparted not only trainings on crops and vegetables, but also incorporated knowledge on gender equality related issues, which also included the empowerment issues. The project improved women's role in household and community level decision making and has improved their access to national identity cards. The possession of a national identity card for women can be considered a linchpin for greater gender parity in our society. In this project, it gave the targeted women agency and voice and improved their access to social security benefits, including health insurance. It has also given women opportunity to initiate their own small-scale business and enhance their mobility. Ingrid's sharing of her visit to Mirprakas has also inspired me to share my own visit to Mirprakas. I clearly remember when I had these discussions with the community women, one thing that they said which I can never forget. they share different benefits of being associated with the project. But one thing what they said which really stays with me is what they said was, "Hamari zindagi badal gayi hai." That their lives have changed for the better. So this is something I will never forget, and this will remain with me. It is very promising to know that great attention is being given by the Sindh government, especially from the Office of the Additional Chief Secretary, Development, and from the Offices of Deputy Commissioner, Mirpur Khas and Dhaka District. These offices have set up provincial project steering committees and district coordination committees for providing their valuable inputs, coordination and oversight of the project. We are confident that such mechanisms will ensure the sustainability of the project interventions. Such integrated approaches are crucial for achieving sustainable development goals, and we are positive that these projects and similar interventions have the potential to lead substantive changes in the lives of women, men, girls and boys, and contribute in the achieving of the 2030 agenda. Achieving gender equality and realization of women and girls' human rights will lead to achieving inclusive and equitable economic growth. I will conclude with the thought that upholding women's rights will not only make it work for women, but it will also benefit the whole society by creating a fairer and most sustainable future, because progress for women is progress for all. I would also want to reiterate what Patrick so eloquently mentioned, that the whole experience that this project provided us to work very closely with sister agencies like for us, in our case, FAO and ILO. I think this was really remarkable. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our staff in Hyderabad office, the whole project staff, but at the same time I also want to recognize Mevish from our office in Karachi, Uzma from our office here. Thank you very much for all the hard work in coordinating with with our sister organizations and also with our implementing partners. In the end, thank you very much for your presence here today.
Thank you very much, Madam, for your address. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to the second segment. And in this segment, we are going to demonstrate some of the excellent work done by the One UN team. We are going to show you a documentary on the program intervention, and this documentary was produced under the One UN project. So let's have a look. On the project achievements.
Very much. Mr. Bajrani, Secretary Planning and Development, Government of Sindh, Commissioner Mirpur Khas, colleagues from UN, ladies and gentlemen. The three heads of agencies and the documentary have almost said it all, what I was going to say and present in my presentation. But I'm really thankful to the team that has implemented this project to give me an opportunity to present the targets that this project's implementation gave. Unlike the heads of agencies, I was a little bit more involved and I had more chance going and meeting these people, the beneficiaries, and this work is part of what makes me really proud working for the people of Pakistan. Next please. Next slide. Okay. If we look at the name of the project, Livelihood Restoration, Protection and Sustainable Empowerment of Vulnerable Peasant Communities in Sindh Province, I think the most prominent work all along is reducing vulnerability. So this is what the project has been doing in this 3 years of implementation. This is the start and end date, the January 2013 and June 30th, 2016 as the end date. Food and Agriculture Organization, International Labour Organization, and UN Women were the three implementing agencies from UN side, and our government counterpart was the Planning and Development Department, Government of Sindh. Agriculture Department, Labour Department, and Women Development Departments, all from the Government of Sindh, were closely involved in execution of this project. And the development partner, the funding, and the strategic framework of this entire development came from the United Nations Trust Fund for Human Security. Next one, please. This is some of the types of beneficiaries that we had in this project. This is a rural woman from one of the beneficiary communities. Next one. Farmers, entrepreneurs, and on the very left we see a group of a mixed group of farmers trying to get into this. And what vulnerabilities this project has been addressing in its period of implementation. Sindh forms the tail end, as we have seen in the documentary, of Pakistan's river system, implying a flood or drought respectively with surplus or scarce water flow. And the project actually was based in 120 villages from 4 union councils lying at the tail end of Jammu and Rice canals, and that were the targets basically. 11,800 rural families, translating into an estimated 64,000 landless peasants, which is more called Haris in the local language, and 22,000 non-Haris, men, women, boys and girls, dependent on tribal landholding, having little access to social security, often caught in debt traps and mostly are marginalized. This is the scene in which the project was implemented. Next one, let's see there. This is the location of the project. Next, please. Next one. This was a private
Deputy Representative UN Women, Ms. Sangeeta Thapa, Secretary PND, Government of Sindh, Brother Zahoor Ahmed, General Secretary Pakistan Workers Federation, member of ILO Governing Body Geneva, and Mr. Fasil Karim Siddiqui, representing Employers Federation of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. Under this project, I was engaged to sort of meet the beneficiaries in the 2 districts where the project was functioning. And during this process, I had the privilege to meet some beneficiaries who had shared their experiences, how they benefit the project. I went to Dadu and I also went to Mirpur Khas, the 2 districts. Inspirational human stories. I would encourage you to read, to have a glance at the various stories. You'll find much more detailed information. To try to be crisp and to show you in the stories what positive effect on the lives of these beneficiaries have happened as a result of this project interventions. So these case studies come from, as I mentioned already, from the One UN project, Livelihood Restoration, Protection and Sustainable Empowerment of Vulnerable Peasant Communities in Sindh. In short, it's called LRP project. As you also know, it is funded by the United Nations Trust Fund for Human Security. And this project is jointly implemented by 3 UN agencies, ILO, FAO, and the UN Women. I've worked with UN for many years, and I've seen this whole process of bringing together the UN agencies. But when I left the UN in 2013, now I actually got the opportunity to see the fruits of working together, which was really, really interesting, and I would like to share some of those stories. Next, please. These case studies basically demonstrates the resilience of farmers' communities in Sindh, who have braved the devastating floods of 2010 and rebuilt their lives. These case studies also demonstrates how joint efforts by the 3 UN agencies brought meaningful change in lives of flood-affected peasants communities, which are very far-flung areas, normally away from those typical areas which many of us in the development sectors tend to work. So it's a remote areas, flood-affected areas, and how the three UN agencies have worked together. Also, these case studies demonstrate that how illiterate and educated both women and men have benefited from on-farm and off-farm skills to ensure livelihood opportunities, to ensure a decent income. Next. Strength of the One UN. The LRP project truly demonstrates that how, as Emily said again, the UN agencies can bring together their respective expertise to increase effectiveness and improve results. Earlier, before that, the One UN one is familiar that we tend to working in the silos, but in this working together, it's sort of benefiting from each other. And actual winner, or actually the person who benefit, is our beneficiaries. These case studies also show how One UN can produce better results while delivering this fund. I'll present in the book, there are many case studies, but here we'll just present a few of them. The first, I'll present the case study of Ms. Gina, a woman of many hues. Next, please. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. Gina is 39 years old, married, lives with husband and 4 sons in Mirpur Khas. I'm not sure, but I think some of the beneficiaries are today in the hall with us. In 2010, floods devastated her husband's income for sharecropping, the sharecropper family. She benefited from ILO's intervention of embroidery classes, which she introduces. And she also took a loan of rupees 10,000 as a small credit to set up a small shop. Her monthly income increased from rupees 0 to rupees 7,000. It's a very, very clear, tangible change.
That is, workers and employers in this country definitely help is that in the crisis situation, whichever it is, I personally belong from Pavan Valley, which was affected by the worst hated earthquake and was targeted as one second to the tsunami which hit 11 countries, but this was northern Pakistan. So definitely how it came for the rescue. ILO cash for work was very important component through which it was started, and then the same it was replicated at the flood affected area, most particularly, and even for the migration of those they came from Swat Valley because of extremism. But this is very important when we see that under the One UN system there is quite well coordination, although within the ILO system there is crisis department at that time which was helping within its parameters how to make live livelihood a proper, better way. And most particularly through those two districts, these Dadu and Mirpur Khas has been targeted, which were of the flooded area. And whatever we see the presentation, the evaluation at the end of this project, that irrigation, conservation, and this agriculture technology, land, tenancy agreements, skills development, micro entrepreneurship setup, and particularly which comes for fundamental right of a citizen of Pakistan so that they get their national identity cards returned, which unfortunately because of the flood, and particularly if in still REs they face problem that they don't have still the identity card. And particularly the social protection that we say, which is of the social security registration. Within this, because time is too less, since I will just say that as Sister Ingrid, Director of Country Office ILO Pakistan, she has mentioned, most particularly about, and which is one of the targeted, was for registration of the union, because social dialogue is very important. When we see that workers do have right to access to a workers' organization of their own choosing, but then definitely with this, we also like to have employer organization.
I would really feel, to say I actually had planned to have a long speech, but actually because of the lack of time and we are fast approaching the Iftar, so I would say a few things. First of all, with regard to the floods, I would be wanting to make the record correct. There were floods in 2010, especially with reference to the case studies of Dr. Saifullah. 2000 floods, 2010 floods, the Bahrain floods, whereas the floods occurred in 2011 were because of the rain. And altogether these are the different, not only the years, but they were the different areas. In 2010, the floods came because of the breach in Tori, the bank that is situated in district Kashmir, Talukot, and there was a big breach. And I was just tell you the disaster, two examples of the disaster. I was there, the managing director since
to be here, and much has already been said about the project, which was fully endorsed as successful model of bringing women's security to 11,800 households in 120 villages of 4 union councils across the districts of Mirpur Khas and Dadar. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, that Sindh forms the tail end of Pakistan's river system, and thus the province of Sindh is much prone to floods and droughts. And also, mostly the agriculture is dependent on surface irrigation system because of almost 70% underground water is brackish. Due to continuous natural calamities and disasters, the livelihood of the rural people is almost on the stake. The problem is not merely food security, health, malnutrition or illiteracy, but it has turned to human security issue, which needs to be addressed on a longer term and sustainable basis. Therefore, I would like to request and urge the UN agencies and the donor communities for the replication of such projects to other districts of the provinces and other parts of the Sindh province, such as 2 districts of northern Sindh, which we call the Upper Sindh, and 2 other districts of southern Sindh, which we call the Lower Sindh, to holistically address the similar context addressed by this UN project. On behalf of the government of Sindh, from the northern Sindh, we recommend the districts of Kashmir and Larkana, the birthplace of our hero Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Benazir Bhutto. I would recommend that. Kashmir and Larkana being at the mercy of notorious Tori Band. That is the notorious Tori Band, which was breached in 2010 floods, and thus most prone to floods right now. The districts of Tharpakar and Badin being prone to drought are recommended from the southern Sindh, which is the lower Sindh. The government of Sindh would love to host the donors conference in Karachi right after the forthcoming Eid al-Fitr to discuss possible partnership among us, the UN and the donor agencies, to expand the good practice from this project to other areas, as I have already mentioned above. I am again thankful and really grateful the UN people and the agencies for giving me this opportunity to express my point of view, and I am looking forward for future cooperation between the government of Sindh and the UN and the donor agencies. I am really thankful and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Altaf Badrani. I would now like to request His Excellency, Mr. Neil Boney, the United Nations Resident Coordinator, and the heads of 3 agencies, ILO, FAO, and UNW, to come onto the stage and please present the shields.